Yahweh's setting up a bunch of trolley problems for the children of Israel, which is fun for philosophers. Hi folks, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read Bible so that you don't have to. And we are just turning that corner towards the end of Numbers, the finish line of Numbers. We're thrilled to almost be out of Numbers, even though I hear there's some genealogies in Deuteronomy that none of us want to read, none of us want to be here for. But there's also, I know, just some horrific laws and evil things that God gets up to. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because there's probably a little bit more of that in Numbers to enjoy before we go forward and just read all the beautiful and ugly stories. At this point, you probably go, oh, when he gets to Jonah, that's just going to be a good one. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I can probably find the problems in Jonah, okay? What about Esther? That's pro-women. We'll see. We'll see. Ruth and Boaz, that's there can't be anything wrong with that. We'll see. We'll see. What about Samson? Samson's a mess. You guys know that. Samson's a complete and utter mess. But anyway, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We're still in Numbers. It's just that when you're in a book like Numbers, you just are going, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's a very long tunnel. You know what I mean? You're just looking down and going, please get me out of here. Please get me out of here. Let's just get right into it without any more further ado happening at this point. We'll stop with all the ado. We won't do any more of that further, and we'll just now move straight into the reading now of the book now, and not just keep on saying the further ado stuff. We're actually going to start getting into the chapter and not just ramble and say useless things and take up time that nobody has. So we're going to start that now without any more ado, because we've had too much ado. I probably did way too much ado already. So we're going to stop with the ado, and we're going to start with the chapter. And I'm not avoiding it because I hate reading the book, but no, I'm actually going to focus in now. I'm going to read all the words of this chapter, which is Numbers 25, without any further ado. Israel stayed in Shittim. I've been trying not to swear. I've been trying not to swear while reading Bible, but then it just throws it at you. Shittim? Translate it differently, guys. You're scholars. Just change it to poopum or something like that. Something that's less vulgar, less of a four-letter word. Pooped him? Just because this is two T's. Pooped him. Israel stayed in Pooptim, and the people began to play the prostitute with the daughters of Moab. The people began to play the prostitute with the daughters of Moab. Does that mean if a man sleeps with a woman out of wedlock, that's also playing the prostitute? I've had this problem for a really long time. I don't know what prostitute means in the Bible. And if you've been with me since Genesis, you'll know that I'm what is playing the prostitute? Because it's not necessarily selling yourself for sex. It could be just having sex out of wedlock. It could be having promiscuous sex, maybe. It's just not very clear. And I thought that only women could do it. I didn't know that men could play the prostitute. I just thought they could sleep with whoever they wanted as long as the person wasn't betrothed or what have you. But here we're sort of seeing that people began to play the prostitute with the daughters of Moab. So maybe there is something to be said for, well, you can't just sleep with anyone. You should be marrying them. And then you can have 20 wives or whatever. That's no problem. But just marry them first. Or sleep with them, even if they don't want to, and then marry them. But look, I'm not jumping ahead. We'll get to that in Deuteronomy. This also makes it sound bad that sleeping with a prostitute or playing the prostitute or being into all the prostitution stuff is bad. But we know that Judah, patriarch Judah, went and slept with a prostitute, and that didn't seem wrong at the time. There was no fallout from that would make you go, I don't think that God liked that at all. On the contrary, he impregnated his daughter-in-law, which is also one of the laws, which the consequence is death. But that never happened back then. But anyway, the Bible is consistent, and God is 100% always consistent, and there is an objective morality. For they called the people to the sacrifices of their gods. The people ate and bowed down to their gods. I should finish like the whole sentence. But now we can see that playing the prostitute isn't necessarily sleeping with someone, but it's worshiping other gods. Prostituting yourself as a man would be just like not following the one true God. So like worshiping God is like sleeping with God. You know, it's like blowing God type of thing. And then if you like go blow these other gods, well, then you're playing the prostitute. Naughty, naughty. That goes back to, was it just the previous chapter possibly where God was like, because you've done this, I am going to punish you or what have you. And I was going, when did this ever happen? Well, now it's happening because the Bible, at least the way it's compiled, and I don't know how, it's been written, but it's not in any particular order. And we've seen that many, many times. This is all just like now, like all of probably, and I don't know, we haven't gotten out of the Pentateuch, but I feel like the Pentateuch is like now. There's a little bit of like time happening because like from Exodus to Numbers 2 years passes, but it still feels very much like now. The reason why Cain and Abel know about sacrifices and how they should do it is because of what we learn in Leviticus. And the reason why we know that in Noah's time there were clean and unclean animals and Noah understood which ones were clean and unclean is because of the description we see in Leviticus. So it's all sort of now, right? That's why I get this like timeline thing is all now. Which is great because God is like totally a YOLO type of guy. You know what I mean? He's like, live in the moment, right? You only live once. Live in, find your now, and I think that's really, really powerful. Israel joined himself to Baal Peor, and Yahweh's anger burned against Israel. Yahweh said to Moses, "Take all the chiefs of the people and hang them up to Yahweh before the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may turn away from Israel." Like, is this some sort of like a hanging? Hang them during the day so that Yahweh can like, a pile of people got killed. That's okay. Now I don't hate everyone for worshiping Baal, which, by the way, if you don't know, I believe this Baal Peor is another god, the god Baal. They're worshiping this other god. Yahweh doesn't like it. I'm just assuming that we're hanging people for it, and Yahweh feels good about that. Could be wrong. Moses said to the judges of Israel, "Everyone kill his men who have joined themselves to Baal Peor." All right, so that sounds like that is what we're going to satiate God with. Yahweh feels good when people die. Well, sometimes 3,000 people. Sometimes the earth has to swallow up more than that. Like whole families, like children, everyone just dying. I don't know if you've ever had this experience with some sort of a food or drink product, right? Where if you feel sort of anxiety or you're feeling just uneasy or something, if you crack a really cool pop of some kind or soda, or you have some ice cream, a whole tub of ice cream, or, maybe comfort food for you is spaghetti or something. And you just like, you can just feel a relief, which isn't necessarily a good thing because you become reliant on something like that. And as long as it's maybe not a healthy thing, that can become a problem. But these are things that we do. It's comfort food, and it makes us feel better. It comforts us. Well, Yahweh's comfort food is people being killed fully and completely to death. So that's what makes him feel. He's like, oh, you killed a bunch of people. Finally, blood was shed. I got to see the life leave, piles of people's eyes. I love that. Whew. Now I feel so much better. Thanks, guys. I'm not going to be angry anymore because there was a lot of death that happened. Many, many souls were destroyed. Phew. Behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought to his brothers a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all of the congregation of the children of Israel, while they were weeping at the door of the tent of meeting. Are they weeping because like a pile of their friends have been killed? The children of Israel, they're all crying. They're like, my brother was killed because we've been worshiping Baal. When Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose up from the middle of the congregation and took a spear in his hand. He went after the man of Israel into the pavilion and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her body. So the plague was stopped among the children of Israel. Those who died by the plague were 24,000. You know, like I like a Heavenly Hash ice cream, or like I'll have just like a little dish. It's just like a little ice cream dish of, maybe we have Tiger Tail here in Canada. It's like got an orange and a licorice flavor. Yahweh's thing is 24,000 people. Like when he is feeling uneasy about something, which is people worshiping another god for a second, 24,000 people. Now, I think that what may be happening here is when people are playing the prostitute, and we've got a Midianite woman here in the sight of Moses, I think there may be something like women were prostituted and then possibly killed for gods, and that was like part of the cultural thing. So maybe this woman's brought there and they were going to sleep with her and then kill her or something. Like, I don't know, but I feel like people have told me that was what was happening. But that could just be like an inference, and now I'm adding to this lore. So let's just see if that is what will be described here. Because it could just be like this guy met another girl. His girlfriend was a Midianite. She's also not one of the Israelites. So, you know, Phinehas just has to kill them with a spear. Right when he did that, it stopped the plague entirely. So already he did the right thing. He just like murdered 2 people to stop all the other murdering. By the way, righteous killing, right? Like if you have to kill 2 people to stop more than 24,000 people being killed by your God, Yahweh's setting up a bunch of trolley problems for the children of Israel, which is fun for philosophers. Yahweh spoke to Moses saying, Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, in that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I didn't consume the children of Israel in my jealousy. Therefore I say, Behold, I give to him my covenant of peace. It shall be to him and to his offspring after him the covenant of everlasting priesthood, because he was jealous for his God and made atonement for the children of Israel. Now, I don't know how many times in this book the people that are writing this, which are going to be religious leaders, I keep saying this. Look, it's not me that's the broken record, it's the book. But they're trying to validate themselves as the religious leaders. So they're like, do you know what happened to make this guy, like this is like generations after when this book is finally like, you know, you guys can read this or we're going to read it to you. 400, 500 years ago, this guy named Phinehas had to kill 2 people, behave, because he had to kill 2 people in order for the God to stop killing thousands upon thousands of people, 24,000 people. That's why I'm still a priest today, because of that. So anyway, you guys want to question it? Because like we got a chapter for that. We got a chapter for where God killed a bunch of people for questioning the priesthood. Now, the name of the man of Israel that was slain, who was slain with the Midianite woman, was Zimri, son of Salu, a prince of the father's house among the Simeonites. The name of the Midianite woman who was slain was Cosbi, the daughter of Zur. He was the head of the people of a father's house in Midian. That's interesting. So we don't often get the names of women. So it's nice that they've added the name of this one particular woman whose role in the Bible, and we should write that down. One of the names of the women in the Bible, Cosby, was just a Midianite woman that was playing the prostitute and murdered for it, that kind of thing. I'm not saying that like this specifically shows the Bible hating women, because Zimri was killed too, but it's just like we're not going to find a lot of named women in the book, and it sucks that one of them has to be like this small of a role. Yahweh spoke to Moses saying, "Harass the Midianites and strike them, for they harassed you with their wiles, wherein they have deceived you in the manner of Peor, and in the incident regarding Cosby, the daughter of the prince of Midian, their sister who was slain on the day of the plague in the matter of Peor." So now we have motivation for the Israelites to just go kill more people. So great. Well, that's a fun chapter. It's just another object lesson, something for us to read and understand, hey, let's not sleep with women of different cultures and just like gallivant with them. As much as you're having fun, they're going to get you to worship other gods. Only worship Yahweh and only sleep with other Hebrews. That's the lesson, and a reiteration of the Levitical priesthood. Pretty straightforward story here. And what's nice about it is it's moving along the narrative of who we get to kill and why. That's another part of it. By the way, I definitely am negative about the Bible a lot. I think I've stopped sort of pointing out how barbaric and evil Yahweh is, right? Like these people are just worshiping other gods, and he kills 24,000 of them. I mean, you're going to run out of people. I think that's why they gave such a huge number leaving Egypt. And I bet you the way they did it too was that like they wrote all these stories, and every time they're like, add another 24,000 to the people leaving Egypt. Because like at a certain point, they're going to go into Canaan, and it's not going to be 2 million people. It might be like 1 million, because like probably between leaving Egypt and getting to Canaan, God kills 1 million. You know what I mean? So they have to kind of like adjust for that. But so I forget to sort of like come down on Yahweh really heavily, because at this point I'm like, we know it by now, right? Like we've heard all the other, we don't really need to be like, oh, is Yahweh still a bad guy? No, we know he's the bad guy. So now it's more of a like, what could they possibly have been wanting to do with a narrative in the time that this was written? And that's kind of interesting to me. And I'm sure scholars have written about this stuff, and it's been well documented what might be happening. Apologists have done it, obviously. They're going to have an opinion. And then like scholars have done it who actually know what they're talking about. And those two ideas are probably not going to be the same thing. But it's fun as just somebody reading it at face value to go, I wonder what was trying to be shared with this sort of thing. And I think I got it right. I think I probably nailed it. That it's just an object lesson, it's exposition, and it's done in a kind of fun, creative way, right? It's dramatic, people are crying, 24,000 people have been killed. So, as far as Bible goes, pretty good. Should I start rating the chapters? Because I would give this one 6 out of 10. And that's not like just because it's a little dry, but I think it's pretty good. And just to give you a reference, like Numbers 11 was like, I would say like an 8 out of 10 or almost like an 8.5 out of 10. I don't know what a 10 out of 10 chapter looks like, but like I'm just hoping that there's something better than that. Exodus 32 was like, I would say it's like a 9 out of 10. So like, we're not going to do this rating system because it's going to be completely all off the hook and ridiculous. Anyway, I've talked too much. Anyway, subscribe, like the video, comment on it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.